Hare Krishna. Our great fortune once again to hear His Holiness Bhakti Vigminashak Narsingh Swami Maharaj Ji addressing to all the Bhakti-Shastri devotees on the final unit on Shri Ishopanishad, and this is final day, day 6 of this Ishopanishad course, and this is 25th of January 2014 in Sridham Mayapur. Hare Krishna.
So yesterday we were speaking about the misguided educators. Who remembers the two kinds of misguided educators? The Vedavadarata and Maya Aparita Jnana. Yeah. So what's the Vedavadarata trying to do in this material world? What's he trying to do? Huh?
They want to be God.
He wants to, he doesn't exactly want to be God. No, that's the Maya Aparita Jnana. The Vedavadarata, he's just trying to exploit the world for his sense gratification. And they come and you can see all these genetically modified things, right? They're modifying. They want to genetically modify everything. All the grains and everything. They want everybody to buy their seeds. You know, the big corporations want to control the market. I was traveling in Malaysia. We went to visit one place. There was one Indian man. It was a hill station, a very fertile region of Malaysia on the mountains where they had very nice farming land. And this man, he took us to see. He was so proud of his farm. He was growing lettuce and different other vegetables like capsicums and so on. And it was all done by genetically modified seeds. And he wanted every lettuce should be exactly the same size. Everything should be exactly the same size, the size they want to go in the KFC, you know, or to go in the supermarkets in Singapore. You know, they want everything to be exactly the same size. So if you just depend on nature, you know, you get all different sizes and shapes and colors. But if you get the genetically modified seeds, then everything is exactly the same. And they don't need to they don't even need to touch the soil. They have, you know, the special arrangements, you know, for watering them and how they grow them. Everything is done in artificial conditions. So this is the Vedavadarata. They want to control everything. Everything's got to be the way they want it. For their enjoyment, for their maximum sense gratification. Raising pigs, raising chickens, raising cows, everything is all, you know, it's all done in the most scientific manner, which is the most barbaric, the most uncivilized manner. So this is the Vedavadarata. They're doing things like this. They won't depend on nature for rain. You have to have chemicals to arrange for rain to come. There's no rain, put a helicopter in there and some chemicals and create rain. And this is Vedavadarata. They don't want to depend on sacrifice for the pleasure of the Lord. But by their own technology, by their own brains, they're going to control nature. So this is the kind of thing which is going on. And then Maya Aparita Jnana, he wants to become God. He wants to control the world. So we heard there's different kinds of knowledge. There's Vidya and Avidya, and we spoke about the balance, how the Krishna conscious program, there's a balance between the two, that we don't want our devotees to be illiterate, but we should be aware of the miseries of the material world. We should be aware of the material world. We should know how to use it for the service of Krishna. That is the balanced program of vidya and avidya. And then we spoke about worship also. Different kinds of worship. Some people worship the demigods, and other people worship the impersonal absolute. So, impersonalism, actually, I got a table here. I wanted to show you this table because it's very helpful to understand more impersonalism. How do I use this? Where's the person? Okay. I don't want to open this. I want to go back to take it back. Open the file. Okay. Now where's? Okay. So it's not very clear. Oh God. Can you do it for me? You put the light up? Is that? Are you able to see it at the back? Yeah. Okay, that's pretty good. Yeah. Is that okay now? Yeah. Yeah? Okay, so you can see there's two columns. There's questions on the left, and there's two columns. Impersonalism and personalism. This is a very good overview comparing the personalism and impersonalism philosophies. The first question, God is a person with a form. Is that true for the personalist? For us, we say yes, yes. For the impersonalist though, is God is a person with a form? No. And then second question, God is supreme. All other souls are servants. What will the impersonalist say? No. Everybody's God, right? So, these are big differences between the personalism and the impersonalism. Number 3, the spirit soul is unchangeable. This means they were talking about the impersonalists. They say that we can merge with the Supreme. We become one with that Supreme. That is their goal. Sayuja Mukti means merging, entering into that oneness of the impersonal Brahman. But we say no, that the spirit soul is always, it's eternally fragmental. It never becomes one. Even you enter into that Brahman, you still maintain your individuality. So question number 3, spirit soul is unchangeable. The impersonalists will say no, it's changeable. Because we can merge with the Supreme. But we don't agree with that. We say no, the spirit soul is unchangeable. Bhagavad Gita, Krishna describes one of the qualities of the soul in the 2nd chapter, that it is unchangeable. Number 4, God is powerful, more powerful than illusion. What did the impersonalists say? They will say, no, illusion is more powerful. Because they say we're all God, but we can fall into illusion. So illusion must be more powerful than God. Isn't it true? You're all very blank, quiet. Is this clear? You're okay with this? Yeah? So I thought maybe the illusion was too powerful. Yeah, God is more powerful than illusion. Krishna can overcome Maya. Maya is the energy of Krishna. But for the impersonalists, for the Mayavadis, they say, no, we're all God, but we've fallen into illusion. Therefore, Maya has to be more powerful. So, we have, again, different opinions from the impersonalists. Number 5, all living entities have a loving relationship with God. That is definitely the personal philosophy. But the impersonalists say, no, not at all. What do we have? We're all God. How can you have a relationship with yourself? There's no relationship with your own self. Relationships is between other people. Number 6, material world is false. That is Mayavadi philosophy. Yes, the material world is false. What do we say? It's a temporary manifestation. It's temporary. Number 7, final destination. What is the goal for the impersonalist? The Brahma-Jyoti, to enter into the Brahman, the oneness in the Brahma-Jyoti. That's their final destination. But for the devotee, it's to engage in loving service with the Lord. Number 8, complete satisfaction to the living entity. But for the impersonalist, there's no satisfaction. Because there's no activity. In the Brahma-Jyoti, there is no activity. Why is there no activity in the Brahma-Jyoti?
No relationship.
Huh?
No relationship.
Yeah, there's only oneness. You're going to have activities with yourself. It's all, if everything is one, there's just a oneness of Brahman. What can you do? You can't do anything.
How can they sit for years if there's no satisfaction?
Well, that's the point. That they sit for some time, but then they get bored and they go and do something. Then they go and open a hospital. Then they go and open a school. Then they go and do welfare work. That's what Prabhupada is saying. The impersonalists, they don't actually know what spiritual activities mean. They don't know how to engage in spiritual activities because they think everything is illusion. So they stop everything, and you sit and you stop and you do nothing. But then at some point, then you want to do something. So what to do? Oh, I'll open a hospital. I'll open a school. I'll do some welfare work, feed the poor. Because they don't know how to engage in spiritual activities. But devotee knows. Devotee, what do? We engage in glorifying the Lord, worshipping the Lord. But for the impersonalists, they can't worship themselves. So they cannot be satisfied, but a devotee is satisfied in the service of the Lord. Number 9, the presence of the super soul and soul within the heart of every living entity. Again, this is personal philosophy. Yes, we understand there are 2 souls, right? Madhvacharya, 2. The super soul and the jivatma. But for the impersonalists, their teaching is Advaita, oneness. There's only one soul. Right? We're all God. They don't believe that there's a super soul and an individual soul. They just believe in the one. That one soul which is within everyone. Then number 10, the absolute principle. 1 minus 1 equals 1. The absolute truth minus something is still the absolute truth. But the impersonalists won't accept that. They will say, no, if you take something away, then it will be changed. This is the difference again. Their understanding of the absolute is different from ours. Number 11, the element of fall down back to the material world. Can we fall down? The impersonalists say, yes, we can fall down. But according to the personal philosophy, you don't fall down. Krishna says, one who enters my abode, he never comes back again. So difference again there. Number 12, Satchidananda. Yeah, we say the soul, we say the spirit soul is Satchidananda, we say the Lord is Satchidananda. But for the impersonalist, there's no Satchidananda, it's only Sat. It's only eternity. They only understand the eternity, that existence as being Sat. They have no Ananda, they have no Chit, they just have the Sat, understanding the Sat potency. The mode of worship, the impersonalist worship, as you were saying, they sit, meditate. That is impersonal. Everything is unreal, everything is illusion. Don't do anything. Just sit and meditate. So how long you can do that for? They can sit for some time, then they come back, engage in welfare activities, take up welfare work. Because they don't know how to engage in spiritual activities. But a devotee, we have 9 ways of devotional service. We have a lot to do. We're always busy. We have so many books to read. We have so much service to do. So many verses to memorize. And practicality to the modern age. Practicality. Impersonalism, a very lengthy process. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Kleshotikātarastesham, very troublesome, very difficult to make advancement. What happened? Very difficult to make advancement in the impersonal process, and make advancement very slowly. But in Krishna consciousness, it's like taking the elevator. Prabhupada said you take the lift. The impersonalists, they're walking up the stairs. They go up very slowly. But devotee just rides in the elevator. Take the lift up. So a much quicker process. Doesn't really take any time at all. If we surrender, if we engage ourselves in Krishna consciousness, it doesn't take any time at all. Very quickly, people can make advancement. And we see new devotees coming, how quick they can change. So this is a nice table there. Summarizing. Some questions there?
Yes, I have a question about number 13, about the impersonalists they meditate. Where is the impersonalist or the yoga ladder? Are they on Jnana Yoga or they are on Ashtanga Yoga?
Impersonalists generally, we showed on the yoga ladder, that from the Jnana Yogis, Karma Yogis can also be impersonalists. Karma Yogis, Jnana Yogis, they can go to the Brahman. Ashtanga Yogis may also go to the Brahman. If they do not distinguish between the soul and the super soul, if the Ashtanga Yogi in his meditation thinks he is the super soul, then he'll go to the Brahman.
So everyone can be an impersonalist. Everyone can be an impersonalist.
Well,
Karma Yogi, Jnana Yogi.
yeah. Sometimes you can get some impersonalists who are talking about bhakti yoga, but that's bogus. It's nonsense. It's not real bhakti if you're an impersonalist. Actually, bhakti yoga is for the personalist. But sometimes you do get impersonalists talking about bhakti yoga. But it's bogus, it's nonsense. Because bhakti means there has to be the object of devotion and the person with the devotion and the activity.
And they meditate on what? On the voice?
What do they meditate on? Yeah. It will vary. Different people, some meditate on Om, some meditate that they are the supreme, they're taught to meditate, I am controlling the sun, I am controlling the moon. Actually, they meditate like that. And they just meditate that everything is illusion.
Sai Baba called himself God, Sai Baba. And then people who follow Sai Baba also impersonalists.
Oh yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, because they're hearing from an impersonalist. Actually, that's not really impersonalism, that's Mayavadi. Not impersonal. Impersonalists that's like Brahmagyanis. Impersonalism can be Brahmagyanis, you just don't know. But when somebody actually claims to be God and claims himself as an avatar of God, then this is very bad. This is Mayavadi.
I heard the analogy that the body takes on the form of the So, I mean, I don't know exactly, but it's like the glove on the hand. I didn't really get that.
The body takes on the form of the soul.
I mean, I heard the analogy, it's like the glove fits on the hand. I don't exactly understand that.
Well, within the spirit soul, there is a spiritual form. So maybe when we go back to Godhead, that's then from the spirit soul, from that spiritual spark, our spiritual form will manifest. Whatever our form is in the spiritual world. But the body we take here in this world, that is determined by our subtle body. The subtle body is going to carry the desires from the previous life into this life, and from the desires and qualification karma from the previous life we develop a particular body. So the subtle body carries that, the desires which we have, and that's how we develop this body. This body is the result of our past karma. Yeah. Any other points on this?
Personal and Mayavadi, they are two different things.
Yeah, well, you have Brahmagyanis and Mayavadi. Brahmagyanis, they understand the Brahman, they're attracted to the Brahman, they just don't know anything. They're not claiming that they're God. They're just attracted to the Brahman. Like the four Kumaras. The four Kumaras were Brahmagyanis. They were not Mayavadi. They were not claiming that it's all one and there's no God. They were not saying that when the Supreme Lord comes in this world, he has a material body. That's Mayavadi. They say Krishna comes, he takes a material body when he comes in this world. They don't say that, they won't say Krishna has a spiritual body.
When Krishna approves that there is direct and indirect path towards him, it means Brahmavadi and Bhakti Yoga.
Yeah. It's an impersonal path, but it's bona fide. It's okay. It's taking them a long time. It's a lot of trouble. That's what Krishna is talking about in the 12th chapter of Bhagavad-gita, when Arjuna asked him which of the two is better, the direct or the indirect path. But the Mayavadis, they outwardly derive the form of the Lord. And they say Krishna is a material body. Okay?
This table is for my house. This one is for my house.
We're talking about impersonalism. Yeah, generally this would be how the Mayavadis see everything. Yeah, right.
And followers of Shankaracharya, are they Brahmavadis or Mayavadis? Mayavadis.
Yeah, Mayavadis.
Why in their temples that there is a deity of Krishna?
They worship the deity as a means to impersonal liberation. Their mode of worship is that I worship now and later I will become Krishna. That I'm doing the worship now with the idea that I will ultimately become Krishna. Not that they're eternally the same as Krishna.
And they don't get any benefit by worshiping Krishna this way?
Well, do they get any benefit? They may attract the mercy of a devotee. Because they're worshipping Krishna, some devotee may be kind to them and he may instruct them with some higher knowledge. But not easy. Lord Chaitanya gave mercy to Prakrtinanda, Saraswati, and Sannyasis. Because, well, he did some Agyata Sukriti. He did some service for Lord Chaitanya. So Lord Chaitanya wanted to give some mercy to him. And Lord Chaitanya wanted to give mercy to them because some of his disciples, some of his followers were being disturbed by the Mayavadis, by their criticism. So Lord Chaitanya thought he had to do something. So he saw that they were actually not so bad, that they were actually quite kind to him. And so Lord Chaitanya enlightened them about devotional service, made them Vaishnavas. Yeah. Okay, so you can take that. Generally, we find the impersonalists that they don't know how to engage in spiritual activities for them. For them, their worship of the deity, they take sannyas to become God. Right? That they are addressed. You meet a Mayavadi sannyasi, you're supposed to address him as Namo Narayan. You're supposed to say, you are who is as good as Narayan. So the impersonalists, they don't have any spiritual activity. They think on the liberated stage there is no activity. There's nothing to do. That is their position, that you become one with the Brahman. So you don't do anything. What do they do? So that's why you see that these people, by way of doing something, they take up welfare activities because it's too boring to stop all activities. That's why they can't remain on that platform. That's why they fall back into the material world, because in the state of Sayuja Mukti, there's no activity, there's no relationship. Just like if you sit in a room on your own all the time, how long will you stay there? How long can you remain in a room on your own without any activity, without ever speaking to anyone or seeing anyone? So that is impersonal liberation. The oneness, there's nothing, there's no activity, no relationship, no exchange. So this is not the nature of the soul, because the nature of the soul is activity. But for the impersonalists, their liberation, that Sayuja Mukti, denies all activity. They want to stop all activity. So they can do it for some time. They go to the Himalayas, they go away from the world, but then again, after some time, they come back.
Mayavadis is our term. We call them Mayavadis, but they don't call themselves Mayavadis.
Well, sometimes they do.
Do they?
Yeah, sometimes they do, yeah. Rabindra Swarup Prabhu was telling me that they have, there was a group in America or something, and they were called Mayavadis, yeah. They call themselves like that, Mayavadis. Generally, followers of Shankara are known as Advaitas.
That's how they call themselves, Advaitas.
Vedantas, Advaitas, Monis. But sometimes also they call themselves as Mayavadis. So, of course, our preaching is directed against them. Yeah, Ishopanishad. No, number 6. Number 6. Lesson 6. Yeah. So, after speaking about different kinds of worship, we find that mantra 15 goes into explain about this impersonalism, and we see how the prayer is offered. Okay. 12 and 14, 9 and 11 we're talking about knowledge, and with that knowledge then we take up worship, and there were different kinds of worship. And then text 15 begins the next section, where you actually have prayers which would be offered at the time of death, and it begins like this. If we read mantra 15, we can chant the mantra. Haranmayena patrena satyasya pehikam mukam tatvam pusana pavarno satya dharmaya dristaye. And the prayer reads, O my Lord, sustainer of all that lives, your real face is covered by your dazzling effulgence. Kindly remove that covering and exhibit yourself to your pure devotee. So, we can see this is a very personal prayer. It's very clearly indicating that the Lord is not impersonal, but he has an effulgence which is covering him, and we want to see that form. So often it's like this in the Upanishads. Often you will find that in the beginning, what's offered, what's mentioned in earlier mantras is more impersonal. You remember mantra 4 and 5, that he walks but he does not walk. He's far away but he's very near as well. This is more impersonal descriptions. But now, coming to the end of the text, we see that personal prayers, personal descriptions are given. And certainly if you're offering a prayer, who would you pray to? Do you pray to some energy? You don't just pray to some energy. We offer a prayer to a person. It's a very personal thing. We offer prayers. That means there's personality. Some person we're directing our prayers to. And the prayer is asking, please remove this effulgence. And that effulgence is, of course, the Brahman. The golden effulgence which is covering, so that we can see your real face. So this is a very clear indication that there's some personality there. And we want to see that person, want to see that form. But it's covered by this effulgence, this haranmayena patrena. And in the purport, Prabhupada gives a lot of scriptural information about the Brahman. It's very nice. If you take time to read it, you can get a lot of information on the Brahmajyoti there. Prabhupada quotes, first of all, Bhagavad Gita from the, which chapter is that now? That's chapter 14, right. After describing the three modes of material nature, after describing the three modes of material nature, Arjuna wanted to know how to overcome the modes of nature, and then Krishna gave the verse that by engaging in devotional service, then you can come to the level of Brahman. And then Krishna goes on, then he quotes this verse, Brahmano hi pratistaham, that he is the basis of the Brahman. And this is a very important verse which we often quote to impersonalists. If you're preaching to people, they're talking about the oneness and the Brahman, and that is the supreme. Then you can quote Bhagavad Gita, chapter 14, this last verse of chapter 14, that Krishna says, I am the basis of the Brahman. The Brahman is not independent of Krishna, but it's coming from Krishna. It's the effulgence which is coming from his body. And then Prabhupada goes on in the purport, then he gives another verse from chapter 10 where Krishna describes the Paramatma. And he's talking about what need is there for all this detailed knowledge, O Arjuna? With a single fragment of myself, I pervade and support the entire creation. And what is that single fragment of Krishna, which is pervading and supporting the entire creation? Paramatma. Yeah, that is the Paramatma. So we have Brahman, we have Paramatma, and then there's also the Supreme Lord behind all of that. That Paramatma is only a single fragment of Krishna, right? It is not directly the Supreme, but it is just a tiny part of the Supreme. So then the personality of Godhead is there. And then in this way Prabhupada goes on to elaborate on the process of Bhakti Yoga. That if we want to actually know Krishna, then we have to actually engage in Bhakti Yoga. as we were showing in that table, the impersonalists, they only realize the Sat potency of the Lord. The Jnanis, for example, they will know the Sat potency, the eternal feature of the Lord. But the yogis, they will know Sat and Chit. Yeah, they will know eternity and not, because they will know the Lord in everything, everywhere. They'll see the Lord within the heart of everyone. You had the vision of the Paramatma yogi. He sees everyone equally. He sees the Lord in everyone's heart. And so there is the yogi. He can see Paramatma feature. But if you want to get the full realization, you have to take up Bhakti Yoga. And then we get realization of the Sat potency, the Chit potency, and the Ananda potency. Oh, there is some bliss in the realization of Sat. Impersonalists, they also have some bliss. How much bliss? Like a tiny drop of the ocean of, there's some tiny, very small amount of bliss from the impersonal Brahman. You were quoting Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya the other day, how he became a devotee. He'd been a logician. He'd been writing so many books, and he was a great scholar of Vedanta, and he was preaching and training the Mayavadi sannyasis to be great sannyasis. But when he became a devotee, he said, before I was only tasting the bitter nimba fruit, but now I am drowning in the ocean of nectar. And so this is Bhakti Yoga, that you get the full realization from Bhakti Yoga. The other processes, the Jnanis, the Karmis, the Yogis, they cannot know the Supreme. Prabhupada also talks, if you do karmakandi activities, very dangerous. Why?
So they are temporary and one has to come back again to this work.
Yeah, well, that's true, but there was another reason. Why?
There's also the story of King Narika, that he was engaged in so much fighting.
Yes, right, yeah. Prabhu is bringing up from Krishna Lila the story of King Narika, how he was doing karmakandi activities. Very nice charity he was giving. But he made a mistake. And you do these karmakandi activities and you make a little mistake and you can get a lot of trouble. And it's very easy to make a mistake. He didn't mean to make a mistake, and he tried to correct it, but he couldn't, and he had to suffer. And so that's the problem with karmakandi activities, that you can very easily get sinful reactions in performing your activities. We see also in Srimad Bhagavatam, Narada Muni is preaching to King Prachini-Barishat. King Prachini-Barishat was doing animal sacrifices. But Narada Muni told him, these animals are waiting for you in the next life. You're going to have to suffer for all these animal sacrifices you've been doing. And Narada Muni preached to him that you need to take up devotional service. These karmakandi activities are not going to get you the real happiness you want, the eternal enjoyment. So there's danger in karmakandi activities. There's less danger being a jnani. If you do jnana yoga, jnanis generally, they don't do much. The jnanis, they're just going to, okay, everything is illusion, don't do anything, just sit. But, read the books, just sit and read and meditate. That's jnana yoga. So they don't get too many sinful reactions. But you're much safer to be a bhakti yogi. The bhakti yoga is the safest, because we're doing everything for Krishna. If we do our hearing and chanting, everything is performed in the service of Krishna, you're not going to get sinful reactions. Yeah? Okay, so Prabhupada writes, the living entity should never be considered the all-powerful supreme truth. Who considers the living entity to be the all-powerful supreme truth? Mayavadis. Yeah, this is Mayavadi. Prabhupada's preaching against the Mayavadi philosophy. That people think, we're all God. We haven't realized it. We have to realize it. But actually, we're all God. When I first came to the temple, when I first went to the temple, I was saying like that. They asked me, said, do you know who God is? I said, I'm God. You're God. We're all God. Because I've been reading a lot of Mayavadi books. I've been hearing from a lot of Mayavadis. So I had that understanding. The guy immediately smashed me. The devotee said, what kind of God are you? You can't lift this house. You know? So Prabhupada is saying again here, the living entity should never be considered the supreme. If he were the supreme, there would be no need to pray to the Lord to remove his dazzling covering so that the living entity could see his real face. Very nice point. This is a prayer. Why are we praying? Why do we want to see it? If we were God, then why would we want to see the Lord? There'd be nothing to pray for. If you're God, who do you pray to? Impersonalists, they shouldn't offer prayers because they're God. Mayavadis are God. Why will they offer prayers? So praying is an activity for devotees. We offer prayers. You pray to someone, somebody's going, we're offering prayers that somebody is there to hear the prayers, right? That's the understanding why we offer a prayer. That somebody's going to hear. We want this person to hear our prayers. So these prayers are offered in that mood. But if we're all God, then there's no need to pray to anybody. Just like one of the items of surrendering to Krishna is that only Krishna can protect us. But for the impersonalist, who protects the Mayavadi? They don't have anybody to protect them. They don't take shelter of anyone because they themselves are God. So they have no one to protect them. Yes?
Sometimes we have this analogy that we are part of Krishna, and we are in quantity different, but in quality we're the same.
Yeah.
Just like a drop of the ocean will have the same chemical, substances in the drop. So when we say we are similar to a drop of the ocean, I mean, we are like a drop of the ocean. And isn't this equal, or when the Mayavadis say, okay, so you also have this concept that you are part of God. So when you see the drop as water and ocean as water, and when you call a drop water, isn't it wrong to call it a drop of water? So you understand what I'm saying? So if ocean is water and drop is water, and when the drop says I'm water, is this really wrong because it's also water?
No, it's all right. It's also water. Yeah. We say that has the same qualities but different quantity.
Yeah. So the Mayavadis may say, okay, that's what we mean. I mean, we're water. We're not maybe God, but we're water. Just like part. I have never seen Mayavadis claim that they are all powerful.
No, but what they usually claim is that the water merges in the ocean and becomes one with the ocean. The rivers flow into the sea and become one with the ocean. They usually speak about that in the sense of oneness. That we're all one. Just as the rivers flow into the sea, the water flows into the ocean, merges with the ocean, and we become one in the sea. But we don't accept that example. That we say, no, within the sea there are so many living entities. There are so many aquatics within the ocean, and they keep their individuality. The fish may be swimming in the river and they go into the sea. They don't become the sea. They don't become the ocean. They still have their identity within the ocean. So within the ocean of Bhakti Yoga, we keep our individuality. But they want to give up their individuality. They want to merge, to become one with the sea, to lose their individuality. So this example which they give is not acceptable.
I mean, when they say that they're as much water as the ocean, is it?
How is it possible?
I mean, the drop.
The drop of water doesn't become the ocean.
No. The drop of the ocean is water, and the ocean is water.
Yes.
So they may say that.
But there's a difference in quantity. The quantities are different.
Yeah, but are they claiming that they are all powerful, or maybe they're just claiming that they will be all powerful afterwards? Yeah? Is that what they're saying?
I don't know what they're saying. They're expert in juggling words. That is their business. They will juggle so many words and they don't know themselves what they're talking about. So, we'd say just chant Hare Krishna. Here, have some prasadam. They need to hear. They want to speak, they like to speak from their platform of their own mind and intelligence, and it's all conditioned. You ask them, where does it say? Speak from the scriptures. Give me something from the scriptures. I don't want to hear from your own mind and intelligence. Tell me something. What does it say in Bhagavad Gita? Give me some Vedic reference. What are you talking about? Ask them like that. Then they're blank. They have nothing to say.
You actually previously mentioned that they call themselves as Narayan. And I think even Bhakti-Shastri Maharaj mentioned that when Mayapur sannyasi came to Vrindavan temple, he held his danda in front of the lady and said, you and I are the same, like this. So they do claim they are equal to God at a very high stage. So they go to that stage, they worship the deity, not with the idea of serving the deity, but using it as a means to become one. And when they are realized, they do claim that they are the same Narayan, I and you are the same. So they do make that claim.
Yes.
They sometimes, I don't know, some impersonators even put the title Bhagavan in front of them.
Yeah.
They do claim that.
Yeah.
So they say that they're all powerful, but just not now.
No, they claim that at the stage of sannyas, they said, I am Narayan. So they address each other as Narayan, and they claim that they are Narayan. So, yeah, so that, I think he was one of the challenges to show his universal form. He said he will come and show, but he didn't come. So that also happened.
Yeah, but and you understand my sort of statement that when they're saying that they're water, maybe that's what they mean.
No, they're saying they're all powerful. They're saying I am Narayan, which means I am the sea and I am all powerful.
So they say that
they don't claim themselves to be a small drop. We are that ocean, and that's why we become Narayan when we take sannyas. They call each other as Narayan.
Padmanabhan Prabhu?
Yes, if they say we are also water, being a drop from the ocean, we can explain them about the existence of the water in terms of Vaishnava Siddhanta, Vaishnava philosophy. Okay, we also accept our spiritual master as God, but he is Sarvaita God. He is not the Supreme God. The difference between Supreme God and Sarvaita God is that the Sarvaita God is into Prabhuja Priyavadasya. Every day morning time we stand this prayer in Gurvastakam. Our spiritual master is God. Because all these scriptures that say he is God, he is a very dear and confidential servant of the Supreme Lord, that is how to address him as God, he is Sarvaita God. So if you understand in that way, to serve him, to become closer to him, here, devotee of the Lord, in that sense, yes, you are water in that sense. But not, you cannot say that you are the vast body of ocean. There is a difference. I'm sorry.
Prabhupada, all conditioned souls are actually, in one sense, personal. What can you say, what is this impersonalism and what is personal conditioning? What means to be personal? What means to be impersonal?
What means to be impersonal? Well, generally we think of impersonalism in the sense that we're all one. There's a oneness. That I am you, you are me. We're all one. We're all spirit souls. So there's a oneness. That we're all Brahman. In that sense that we're all pure spirit souls, we're all Brahman. That there's a oneness there. But there's a difference also. That I'm an individual and you are an individual. I do not know your pains and pleasures and you do not know mine. So we're individuals, we're separated. There's a oneness in the sense we're all Brahman, we're all spirit souls, we're all part of Krishna. We're all, there is that sense of identity, the same there, that we're all one. But there's also difference. So impersonalism is thinking, I'm you, yeah, it's all the same. Everything. And we think also when Krishna comes in this world also, we think he's also like us. That he also has a material form. So this is the impersonalist mood. That we put Krishna on the level of being an ordinary human being.
And practically, by the influence of false ego, we are all thinking that we are enjoyer and the controller, and we don't have the compassion for other living things. That is also impersonalism. That we think that I am the God. Actually, we are trying to control our situations. We are trying to control our enjoy different varieties.
Yeah, when we first of all we try to enjoy the world through the body, and when we cannot enjoy so much, then we try to get a higher enjoyment by becoming God. We think I'll become God, and then I will enjoy in that way.
And personal means to take in consideration other living beings, to have compassion for them, and also to reciprocate them.
Well, generally we don't see that so much from impersonal and the impersonalism. They do social work, welfare activities.
And take personal.
Huh?
What means to be personal?
What means to be personal?
Yes.
Well, it means to understand that we have a relationship, there are relationships. Impersonal is, there's no relationship. You don't communicate, you don't give respect, you don't make friends, you're just an individual, and you think, it's all one, it's all the same. But personal means we recognize someone as being an individual and we relate to them as a person and try to exchange with them, develop loving relationships. That is personal. And recognizing ultimately that we have a relationship with Krishna and serving him. Prabhu?
Christian people often offer their prayers to the Lord, but they don't have any personal concession.
Who offers prayers?
Christian.
Huh? Christians offer prayers to God, but they don't have
conception of personal conception.
Well, no, generally they think Jesus is God.
But there are some who don't think.
Well, but still, generally in Christianity they understand God as a person. They think of God the Father. There is a lot of impersonalism there too. When you go into it deeper, that you can also find there are a lot of impersonal things there too. They don't know exactly what God looks like. They don't really know so much about his quality, his character. They don't know, but they understand God as a person. They do think of God as a father, a person. They think of him more as a provider. maintainer. They pray to God, give me. Right? Generally their prayers are like that. Yeah.
So our relationship, personal relationship with Krishna is servant and master, generally, or friendship and other rasas. But what is our relationship with the other living entities? What should be our mood to them? Are we servants to them also?
Well, we explained the mood of the Madhyam devotee, that you associate with devotees and you give mercy to the innocent and you avoid the atheistic and the blasphemers. That is our relationship with others.
Because I've heard that we are servants of all the living entities.
Yeah. But, well, yeah, we see Krishna in everyone. Certainly we want to give mercy, we want to be kind to people. We cannot serve everyone, but we can serve Krishna. To be servant of everyone, that is the Mayavadi philosophy. I'm everybody's servant. How you can serve everyone? How many people you can serve? How many people? You cannot serve everyone. But we can serve Krishna. And by serving Krishna, then everyone can be satisfied.
As far as the pure devotee, being personal to Krishna means that he asks what Krishna wants me to do, and how he wants me to do it.
Well, following Krishna's instructions, yes, certainly. It means surrender. Surrender means also taking shelter of Krishna, following his instructions. That is good. Yeah.
So when the gopis, for example, they serve Krishna, they ask him, what would you like me to do, for you, and how would you like me to do it? Is that their mood?
Yeah, the gopis, their only mood is to please Krishna. Everything they do is for Krishna's pleasure.
So in this sense, if we do what Krishna likes and we do how Krishna likes, what is our individuality? How does it?
Well, it's going to be different for different people. Different people have different initiatives and different moods in serving Krishna. Someone's inspired to go and serve the deity. Somebody else is inspired to do Harinam Sankirtan. Someone else is inspired to go on a farm and take care of the cows and have milk and offer the milk to Krishna. Different people are inspired in different ways to serve.
That's not pure devotion, is it?
Yeah, it's pure devotion. It can be. It can be. Depends on their attitude, their mood. If their mood is to please Krishna, that's pure devotion.
Because if there is like a mood of I do what I like for Krishna, that's more karma yoga.
No, of course, but it's not what I like. But of course, you have to get the blessing of your superior. You want to get your spiritual master to sanction what you're doing. Shouldn't be a big problem, not a big issue. You feel inspired to do a particular service for Krishna. I'm sure senior Vaishnavas will bless you. Nobody's going to say, no, you got to do this, you can't do that.
There's no difference between the four varnas. There's no difference.
Yeah.
You can have a wife and 5 children and hold a full-time job in the factory. And if you're dedicating your life to Krishna, it's pure devotion.
Yeah, that's pure devotion.
There's no difference in the varnas. He's sannyas and someone else is a Vaishnava. But they're both dedicating their entire life to the service of Krishna. It's the same story.
We were hearing this morning, Bhakti-Shastri Swami was saying how Prabhupada said, all the devotees are pure devotees. How many pure devotees, the devotee had asked Prabhupada, besides you, is there any other pure devotees on the planet? Prabhupada said, how many members do we have in our society? And then Prabhupada said, then there are at least that many pure devotees. But a pure devotee means they're not engaging in any sinful activity.
Prabhupada was stuck by us. He was never just...
So we want you to appreciate how you can use this mantra in preaching. That, although these Upanishads are generally considered, impersonal, there's a lot of impersonal kind of statements, but this is a very clear statement that the Lord is a person, that there is a personality. And remember, this is coming from the Shruti Veda, the Shruti mantras, from the Shruti part of the Vedas, the original Vedas. And it's clearly indicating there's a personality, a supreme personality there. And the prayer is being offered to see that form. So there is a form behind that effulgence. One girl was chanting, she was telling Prabhupada, I see a bright light. What did Prabhupada say? Yeah, keep chanting, it will go away, right? So the light, that's not the goal. Prabhupada said, the demons who are killed by Krishna, they're immediately transferred to the Brahman effulgence. So just imagine the place which is given to the enemies of Krishna. Is this very covetable thing? No, the demons, they get impersonal liberation. And these jnanis, they're endeavoring so many lives, so much labor to try to get the same result, the same destination. And even if they achieve that impersonal liberation, they cannot remain there, but they fall back again. Right? It's not actual liberation, it's only theoretical liberation. They come back again.
Sorry, so many questions, but I heard that when people are located in Brahman, or souls located in Brahman, this is like an area where souls travel through, different souls travel through. And if devotees pass by some chance, that area where that soul is located, that soul may be attracted by the devotees and may elevate from the Brahman.
That's right. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, if you're taking a chance. Remember the Brahman is very vast and big. Are you sure there's going to be some devotees passing by there? Are you sure you're going to be attracted? You may be lost in the oneness and think, oh, this is really nice oneness and nothing, just no activity. You may be, maybe in the cosmic slumber, And so it's a dangerous condition. Why risk like that? Better we understand the goal, that impersonalism is not the goal. Impersonal liberation is not actually a very satisfying situation for a devotee. We shouldn't want to be attracted to that.
Right. We are from Bhakti-Shastri species, reading books and sutras and science. So, am I young or another way what is the idea to Jnani Bhakti or?
Well, the jnani generally, they want to negate everything. That their knowledge is making their heart harder and harder. They're cultivating knowledge, but they're not cultivating that knowledge in relation to devotional service. Your knowledge, what you're studying and everything here, this is in relation to devotional service. And you saw in the yoga ladder, one who does bhakti yoga, he is also a karma yogi. He's also a jnana yogi. We understand Krishna's energy. Right? Lord Chaitanya came to teach Vairagya and Vidya. Vairagya Vidya Nija Bhakti Yoga. Lord Chaitanya appeared to teach knowledge and detachment, knowledge of his devotional service. We should not be illiterate. We should know why we chant Hare Krishna. Oh, why are you chanting Hare Krishna? Oh, I don't know, everybody does it, I like it. There's nice tunes, you have a good dance. No, we should know who is Krishna. We should know about Krishna's energies. We should know Krishna's teaching. But we don't have to just year after year, month after, reading one book after another book and another book and another book, just studying, becoming, big jnani, big scholar. That is not. If our heart is becoming harder that is not good. The heart is meant to become soft, meant to melt with the cultivation of devotion. And so bhakti yoga includes knowledge and detachment. We have to cultivate some knowledge. We don't want to be just ignorant. When Lord Chaitanya met that Brahman, the illiterate Brahman reading the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Chaitanya took time to educate him, to teach him how to read the Bhagavad Gita. He appreciated his mood, but he wanted him also that he should read the Gita properly. He trained him. Lord Chaitanya spent time speaking to the devotees, giving them knowledge, instructing them. So Prabhupada said, we should be able to, present these books. We should know. Not the books that present, they're not just for selling. Some people, they like to go out and sell them, and they never read them. And so that is not very good, right? So it's very nice if you have the book and you go and distribute and you tell people, I've read this book very well, I can tell you all about it, and you can preach to them, you can show them Mantra 15 talks about this, and you can show them. They'll be impressed that, you really know this book. Okay, so we certainly hope you will use this mantra in preaching sometimes. You meet some impersonalism. So then mantra 16 is very similar. We can just read it through. We'll read the translation. O my Lord, O primeval philosopher, maintainer of the universe, O regulating principle, destination of the pure devotees, well-wisher of the progenitor of mankind, please remove the effulgence of your transcendental rays so that I can see your form of bliss. You are the eternal Supreme Personality of Godhead, like unto the sun, as am I. So very similar to Mantra 15. Again, it's a prayer. I want to remove the effulgence. We want to see that form. So it's not just one verse. It goes on. Yeah?
What this means is a like, you're the eternal Supreme Personality of Godhead, like unto the sun, as am I. What means that?
Well, again, similar qualities. We're one with the Lord in quality, right? We have similar qualities. So like that, we're one. There's a oneness there in quality. Like unto the sun, as am I. We recognize our spiritual nature. The prayer is recognizing the spiritual nature. We're not identifying with the body. We understand our spiritual nature. We understand the transcendental nature of the Lord. We'll go on, Mantra 17. Let this temporary body be burnt to ashes, and let the air of life be merged with the totality of air. Now, O my Lord, please remember all my sacrifices, and because you are the ultimate beneficiary, please remember all that I have done for you. It's a very typical prayer. If at the end of life we were praying, we would certainly, be thinking, I hope he remembers all I've done. Right? We hope we've done something good, that we can remember, Anyway, this comes out in these words, Om Krato Smara Kritam Smara. Krato Smara Kritam Smara. Please remember all my sacrifices, because you are the ultimate beneficiary. Please remember all that I have done for you. So, Prabhupada explains here in the purport, I was reading it through, he talks about how if you've done a lot of heinous activities, then at the time of death, certainly you'll remember that. Where was this?
Is it the paragraph that says, unlike the simple animals? unlike simple animals who have no developed mind, the human being can remember the activities of his passing life like dreams at night.
Where is that?
The paragraph starts with, unlike the simple animals. The ninth paragraph, Maharaj.
Okay. Unlike the simple animals who have no developed mind, the dying human being can remember the activities of his life, like dreams at night. Therefore, his mind remains surcharged with material desires. And consequently, he cannot enter into the spiritual kingdom with a spiritual body. The devotees, however, develop a sense of love for Godhead by practicing devotional service to the Lord. Even at the time of death, a devotee does not remember. Even if at the time of death a devotee does not remember his service to the Lord does not forget him. This prayer is given to remind the Lord of his devotees' sacrifices. But even if there is no such reminder, the Lord does not forget the service rendered by his pure devotee. Right, that's the same text here. We have it on the screen. So like that, this is an interesting point. We were hearing even, how many of you went to class this morning? Some of you, not many. Maybe about half. Anyway, this morning Bhakti Swami was speaking about the departure of Srila Prabhupada's disciple, a devotee called Shamlal Prabhu, who came from Navadvip. So he was describing, he died in South Africa. He had a brain tumor, and he'd been apparently was in a coma for about, I think, 6 weeks. He said this morning, 6 weeks. Yeah. But he had a very nice departure. And said it just as he was leaving. He said, Hare Krishna, right? Chanted the holy name. And everybody heard him, even the nurse heard him. And so Bhakti Swami felt very happy seeing him depart in a very nice manner. And we've seen also other devotees, people who have left Krishna consciousness. There were different examples. There was one devotee from France. Anybody here from France? Yeah, Prabhu? Yeah, France? There was one French sannyasi. Prabhupada gave him sannyas. His name was Prituputra. Anyway, he was a good Sankirtan devotee. He distributed a lot of books. And then he wanted to take sannyas, so they decided to give him a chance, let him take sannyas. And he was a sannyasi in Prabhupada's time for some time. He served here in India and then went back to the West, but went adrift. He gave up his sannyas and everything, went away, and he was not associating with devotees. And he contacted some AIDS or something, HIV, some disease like that. And he was dying, and just before he left his body, it was said that he was laying on the bed, but then suddenly he sat up and he said, Prabhupada, you've come. He hadn't been connected with the devotees for so many years, but somehow, just as he was leaving the body, Prabhupada appeared, and the people who were taking care of him at that time, they had recounted this. So there are many other examples, different devotees who did a lot of service at one point, but then fell into difficulties. But somehow at the end of their life, they were, they got some special mercy from Prabhupada. So this is something we can think about here. Yeah, Prabhu?
Is this prayer the mood of pure devotion? Because the prayer is asking the Lord to remember on the activities. So
Is it included in the nectar of devotion?
Is this prayer in a mood of pure devotional service?
Is it a prayer of pure devotion?
Mood.
Is it in the mood of pure devotion? Well, it's Shastra. Certainly, there's no harm to pray like this. Whether or not it's the highest devotion, that's another thing. But there's no harm in remembering these words which come from scripture, Vedic scriptures. Certainly it has some power. May not be the highest mode of surrender and devotion to the Lord, but who is on that platform? How many of us are on that platform that we have that highest mode of pure devotion, that you can just be like Prahlad, and even when you're put in the wok of boiling oil, you just chant Hare Krishna. So, anyway, Prabhupada in that purport here, he's certainly encouraging us that even if we're not able to remember Krishna, even if we don't remember Krishna, the Lord does not forget the devotee. One devotee was asking Prabhupada, he said, Prabhupada, he said, I can do service, but I just can't remember Krishna. I can't think of Krishna. And Prabhupada told him, he said, it's okay. He said, you just keep doing your service. You follow the 4 principles. You chant your 16 rounds every day. He said, at the end of life, even if you can't think of Krishna, Krishna will force himself into your mind and take you back to God. So Prabhupada said like this. He encouraged us.
Well, actually, this is better to have this type of mood, or to strive for something higher than this type of mood of prayer. Like, it's related to Michael's question. He said it isn't a prayer of pure devotion. Should we, should we accept that we're not the, Uttamavikaris and everything, and, stick to this prayer, or should we strive for something higher than this and not to...
Well, we should understand that there are different kinds of prayers. And we should appreciate all the different kinds of prayers.
But I mean, when death comes to us, what should we think?
At the time of death, what should we do? Well...
Is it better to do like this, or to do something, strive for something higher?
That would be determined by our consciousness at the time of death. That will depend on our qualification. We can't force that.
So if we can.
Yeah. Yeah. You're not going to be able to think about this. It will naturally, according to whatever our consciousness is, we can't really control what.
Whatever comes out.
Yeah. You cannot, you can simulate, you can practice all you like. At the time of death, we might only just scream, You can train a parrot to chant Hare Krishna, right? But at the time of death, what's it going to do? Abai?
You heard that the person who approaches Krishna, the stress is not pure devotion, right?
Yeah.
But every morning we pray, like, I'm so sad, please make me happy like you.
Well, these are prayers of great devotees. We have to understand the mood of these devotees. And we're following in the footsteps of these great devotees by offering these prayers. So we have to recognize their mood. And there's nothing wrong in offering their prayers. These prayers have been given to us. Prabhupada encouraged us. Prabhupada sang these songs. He taught us the meanings of these songs. So yeah, prayerful mood. A prayerful mood is always good. It may not be the highest mood of pure devotion, but but we should understand that this is the mood of these people, great devotees. Can't go wrong if you're following their prayers, repeating their prayers.
Let this temporary body be burned to ashes. Can you explain about burn the dead body? I mean, generally in India, the dead body is always burned at a different place. Different. So can you explain a little about why you should burn the body?
Why we should burn the body? That's the Vedic way of disposing of the bodies. That we don't want to just, the Muslim, of course, they bury them, Christian, they bury them, but the Vedic culture, the bodies are burnt. It arranges for the soul to be fully detached from the body. With the burning of the body, then the soul and the relatives also, all the people that are attached to the body, and when they see it burned, then okay, that's it, it's finished. Gone. Come back to dust. And so it helps to make that full detachment. Yeah.
We have that.
And we also, of course, the ashes, usually we put the ashes in the holy river, which frees us from sins. So sometimes, of course, they put the whole body in the Ganga, but nowadays they don't usually allow people to put the bodies in the Ganga. You should burn the body first, then put the ashes.
I have always seen that the Pandavas, they didn't die. The Pandavas. They didn't die, they went to the trouble.
Well, what does it say? There are different things. In the Bhagavatam it says in their own body they went back to Godhead. In their own bodies. They walked into the Himalayas. They were walking. And one version it says one after another they fell. And then when Yudhisthira finally got to, where was it? Finally he gets somewhere, and then I think heavenly planets or something, and he sees all these other personalities are there. But in the Bhagavatam it says that they went back to Godhead in their same bodies.
Is this like a resurrection?
Resurrection?
Is that the same as resurrection?
Well, I don't know about resurrection, but reincarnation, transmigration. We believe in the soul, not the body. The body's dead. We let the body go. Finish with the body. We don't want to bring the body back to life. We want to give up that body and move on. How should we move on? We should move into a higher form of life. Right? I think that's explained here. This mantra, the mantra 17, verifies the fact that the living entity exists after the annihilation of the material body. But the highest perfection occurs only when the living entity is able to give up the material body altogether, as suggested in this mantra, and enter into the spiritual atmosphere where he can develop a completely different type of body, spiritual body. So that should be our goal. We don't want to be attached to this body. We don't want to resurrect the body. Pandavas are different. They're associates of Krishna. Their bodies are different. We can't imitate. But our goal is to get out of this world, to give up this body. So these prayers are nice. They certainly indicate a lot to us, that there is some personality there. We want to speak to him. When we address him, we should know how to talk to him, what to ask for. There was another section. And the final paragraph of Mantra 17, Prabhupada says, unless one is accustomed to devotional practice, what will he remember at the time of death? When the body is dislocated, how can he pray to the Almighty Lord to remember his sacrifices? Certainly at time of death, very difficult. We know the situation, the fever, the body becomes very hot, then very cold. So many difficulties at the time of death. What can we remember to pray? So, Prabhupada says, unless we're accustomed to devotional practice, how will we ever remember? Sacrifice means denying the interest of the senses. One has to learn this art by employing the senses in the service of the Lord during one's lifetime. One can utilize the results of such practice at the time of death. Time of death is the final exam, right? You have open book, you have closed book, you have Bhakti-Shastri, Bhakti Vaibhav. But the real test comes at the time of death. And we're training you all up for that exam. The real mantra test comes at the time of death. So yeah, the sloka test comes at the time of death. That's the real mantra test.
It says here, Maharaj, that we have to learn how to employ our senses in the service of the Lord during one's lifetime. And so that one can utilize the results at the time of death. So the result of employing our senses during our lifetime is to remember Krishna.
Yes.
So this will be the result. If we employ our senses our whole life in the service of Krishna, the result will be that we will remember him at the time of death.
Yes, right. That's the right understanding. What we do in our life, that was what will come in our mind at the time of death. People have had the experience, near-death experiences, people drowning in the sea. They're drowning, they're almost unconscious, and they pull them out, and they often say they saw their whole life come before them. They remembered all the different activities. Everything just came before them. They could remember everything they were doing, little children and growing up and all the things they did. So at the time of death, we remember what we've been doing throughout this life. So we want to make the focus on our life so that at the time of death we can remember Krishna. Of course, one may be very fortunate that one can take up devotional service even at the end of life, and may be fortunate and he remembers Krishna. But that's, you're taking a risk. Ajamila was lucky. He was chanting. He didn't just chant one time. He was chanting a lot. And remember, he was born a Brahmin, so in his childhood also he had a good childhood. But later on he became degraded. Prabhu.
Just a comment, Maharaj. Whenever we will leave Dham, all the sweet memories also come whenever we are leaving that. So it happens when we are leaving this body also, the whole thing comes.
Yeah, it all comes. Yeah. You see everything like a kaleidoscope. The whole thing just comes in your mind again. Remember. So, yeah. That's why Maharaj Kulashekar said, let me die now. Right? Let Krishna Tvadiya Pada Pankaja Panjarantam Ajaiva Me Vishatu Manasa Rajahamsa. The swan of my mind become entangled in the stem of the lotus feet of Krishna. Engaging the senses means also the mind. We want to also use the mind to think of Krishna. So like that, then at the time of death, then it's not a problem. Just like we heard today, Maharaj was talking about this one devotee, Shamlal. He joined as a young man, quite a young man. He was one of the first Bengalis to become a devotee. He was serving in Calcutta. I was there in Calcutta for some years also. I knew him very well. So he was, a very happy person, very detached. Maharaj was describing, he got sick, he didn't have any money, right? He had no money. He'd collected millions, he collected so much money. He knew all the rich people. He made so many life members, and he would bring them to Bhakti Swami. When they were ready for initiation, he would bring Bhakti Swami, and Maharaj would initiate them. But many of the connections which Maharaj has came from this boy Shamlal. He was traveling in different parts, Africa and here and there, making life members. And he met so many rich people. But he himself never became rich. He never kept any money. Very simple. And so he had a very nice departure. Maharaj feels very confident that he achieved success. So what we're attached to at the time of death, that will come out at the time of death. If we're attached to something throughout our life, if you're thinking of your dog, Jad Bharat, we heard Bharat Maharaj became a deer. And he was an advanced devotee. He was on the level of Baba, but he deliberately became attached to a deer. And the result was he had to become a deer. And then after that, then he's very serious. That's why as Jad Bharat, he's very serious. Not taking any risks. Because he saw how dangerous it is, how easy it is to deviate from the spiritual path.
If Bharat Maharaj would become a deer, what would be the chances of him becoming that serious in the next life? As in the next life, how quickly could he become that serious?
Well, we have to see Krishna's plan. Krishna puts us in these bodies just to accelerate our coming back to Godhead. It's like that. You have to see everything as the plan of Krishna. Also, that he misused his independence. Okay, you get the result. Here's the result. Become a deer. Become an animal. So he was very careful. It was a help. It certainly an impetus to him. Just like in the 6th canto Srimad Bhagavatam, you can read about Chitraketu. He became Vritasura. He became a demon. But it was to accelerate his going back to Godhead. So you can see it in different ways. Everything depends on how you view it. Are you willing to go back to God? Do you want to go back to Godhead? That comes up. Who really wants to meet God? Who really wants? Sometimes I just want to be a devotee. I'm happy. I'm having a good time. People like me. I have my friends. People laugh at my jokes like this. I have my disciple. I have my followers. Do we want to go back to Godhead? Are we really willing to give up everything and go back to Godhead? That will come. And so we have to be careful of that. Okay, so that's actually the text. You can just see summarizing this whole thing. We talked about his mantras. Oh, this is all.
Maharaj, we didn't take the 18.
18. It's there's nothing significant in it. You can read it over, but Prabhupada's just saying the same things. He's just talking about self-realization. He's talking about we have to know the person behind everything. It's just a continuation of the same prayer. There's nothing really significant or new that we need to discuss. So, mantras 4 to 8, they were talking, first of all, 4 and 5 were talking more about the impersonal feature of the Lord and his inconceivable powers. And then 6, 7, and 8 were describing the vision of the Mahabhagavat devotee, how they see the Lord and how they see the living entities. And then 15 to 18 is the prayers to the Lord at the time of death. So Tad Dure Tadvantike, that was mantra 5. He's far away, but he's very near as well. Ekat Vam Anupashyata, the oneness, the mood of oneness, being the servant of the Lord, seeing everything through the scriptures. And mantra 8, Shuddhama Papavidam, that Krishna is completely pure, even sin cannot touch him. What appears to be sin, it's not sin. And then today we spoke about Haranmayena Patrena Satyashyapi Tammukam. Remove this dazzling effulgence, let me see your form. And we've been speaking about this Om Krato Smara Kitam Smara, that we ask the Lord to remember all of our sacrifices, all that we've done for Him. This is going to be tested at the time of death. We hope that when the time of death comes, we're prepared, we've done. We've dedicated our life, we've used our energy for the pleasure of the Lord. This is Ishopanishad. So Ishopanishad, we said, it's a knowledge that brings one nearer to the personality of Godhead. This is the principle. A concluding quote. The entire process is hinted in this mantra, and Srimad Bhagavatam explains it further. This is from mantra 18. Hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord is itself an act of piety. By hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord, one becomes cleansed of all undesirable things, and then one's devotion becomes fixed upon the Lord. At this stage, the devotee acquires the Brahminical qualifications, and the effects of the lower modes of nature, passion and ignorance, completely vanish. The devotee becomes fully enlightened by virtue of his devotional service. Thus he comes to know the path of the Lord and the way to attain Him. As all doubts diminish, he becomes a pure devotee. So this is Prabhupada's concluding paragraph on the mantra 18. Mantra 18, Prabhupada is just talking about self-realization and how we come through different forms of life. We come through the lower species of life. We come to the human form. Then you get the human form. Then you have a chance to develop Brahminical qualities, become self-realized. He talks about regulative principles. He talks about yoga brasta, the fallen yogis, how they take birth in a good family, a wealthy family. They have the opportunity to continue. And then he speaks about the regulative principles. He describes different processes. One way, you follow the regulative principles and then cultivate some. By following regulative principles, you get free from passion and ignorance. You come to appreciate transcendental knowledge. And then you can cultivate knowledge for many lifetimes, and then eventually you may come to surrender to the Lord. So Prabhupada said, this is the general procedure. But one who surrenders at the very beginning, as recommended in this mantra, at once surpasses all preliminary stages simply by adopting devotional service. So Prabhupada is pointing out there's two ways, two processes, but the process which is mentioned here in this mantra is that we should immediately surrender to the Lord. Even it may be at the time of death. But if we surrender ourselves to the Lord, then that can save us. The mantra 18, it says, "O my Lord, please lead me on the right path to reach you. And since you know all that I have done in the past, please free me from the reactions to my past sins, so that there will be no hindrance to my progress." So even though we may have a lot of past sins, But if we pray to the Lord, if we surrender ourselves even at the time of death, then the Lord can free us from the sins. And Prabhupada quotes here, Bhagavad Gita, Krishna takes charge of a surrendered soul. The sin cannot... Krishna purifies even the sinful person who surrenders to him. Then read also the third last paragraph, Prabhupada said, in this mantra, mantra 18 of Sri Ishopanishad, the devotee prays to the Lord to rectify him from within the heart. To err is human. A conditioned soul is very often apt to commit mistakes, and the only remedial measure to take against such unintentional sin is to give oneself up to the lotus feet of the Lord, so that he may guide one to avoid such pitfalls. So again, you can see the mood that we do say we've done some sins unintentionally. We didn't know very much. We were doing a lot of nonsense. But if we take shelter, if we surrender ourselves to the Lord, then He can free us. He can save us. And so Prabhupada is just talking about this throughout this purport of Mantra 18. The prayer is like that. That please free me from all my past sins. Very appropriate verse that we ask the Lord. I know I'm not very great devotee. I haven't done very good, but I surrender. I put myself in your care. I am yours. And this is surrender. And Krishna can free even the sinful person. So these prayers are very nice for us, actually, for the people reading them. We said especially new people, coming to Krishna consciousness, they can feel inspired a lot by these prayers, which come there in the end of the quote. Okay. So, we ask you, how has the Ishopanishad helped you to further your Krishna consciousness? Did you get anything out of this Ishopanishad? Did you feel there was any gain, any great benefit from this? No?
The discussion of the Shruti and Smriti was really powerful and helpful with understanding where the Gita falls and how some people only follow some literature. And for the Sri Ishopanishad, for those people who only want the four Vedas.
Okay, good. You appreciated that section? Prabhu? The Ishavasha principle. Yeah, that we need to be more focused that God's the proprietor and we shouldn't be too greedy to acquire things for our own self. Just take our quota. Ananda Mohan Prabhu? Yeah, but within so many mantras that there is indications of personal features there. Although generally people think of the Vedas as being impersonal, stressing more on the impersonal, but we see in this Ishopanishad, you can see why Prabhupada translated it, why Prabhupada wrote purports on it, why we published it, why we're printing it again and again, because there is so much information there which can help people like these Jnanis, these Karmakandis, these Vedavadaratis, these Maya Aparita Jnanas, all these people who don't surrender to Krishna, then this book can bring them to surrender.
The breakdown of the mantras, like this section 9 to 11, 12, 14, the prayers at the end. Breakdown is very helpful for having a mental image or something. It helps me a lot.
Good, yeah. Yeah, I think it's important for we get to know the book more. The more you see the structure of the book, the breakdown, you can see the groups, how the different verses relate to each other, and different topics which are brought up. It gives us a deeper appreciation for the book. So we encourage all of you, go and preach. You can give a course, give a seminar, teach a course in Sri Ishopanishad. Yeah, why not? Yeah, learn something. Prabhupada told Barijan Prabhu. Barijan was telling us, he said when he was a new devotee, he had a job working in a brick factory. And he came back and told Prabhupada, he said, Prabhupada, I've learned how to make bricks. Prabhupada said, oh, that's very good. Now you must teach it to others. Prabhupada told him, he said, now you must teach the others also how to do that. So that's it. This is Krishna consciousness. You learn something and then you go and teach it. And when you teach it one time, then you'll realize you need to teach it again. You'll get to know it a bit better. And the more you teach it, the better you get to know it. Okay? So I thank all of you very much for your participation. Give me an opportunity to get to know Ishopanishad better. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.